Hi everybody, welcome to Live Blogger. I have combined all the videos in our responsive homepage series into this single long video so that it's easy for you to follow along. And I will also leave the link of the source code in the description of this video. So in this video, we are basically designing this homepage from scratch using HTML, CSS and JavaScript. And in the end, I'll show you how to add this to your Blogger homepage. So let's get started. In this video, we're going to start designing this homepage right here, and we also have some hover effects over here. So when I hover over these buttons, we can see that it moves up, and we also have hover effects for these icons and also these menu icons. And then we also have a mobile version for this homepage. So this is how the mobile version looks. Alright, I have opened this folder called responsive homepage inside Visual Studio Code. And I also have this folder over here in which we have all these images. So these images are going to be used in our website. I will leave the link of these images in the description of this video, so you can just download it and follow along. So first of all, let's create an HTML file. So I'll just click on new file and I'll just type index.html. And we also need a CSS file, so I'll just click on new file and we'll just name it style.css. Right, let's start with the HTML file. So here in VS Code, you have this shortcut where you can just press exclamation and press tab, and you will have this basic HTML file code. And here, let me just link my CSS file. So I'll just type link, and in the href, I'll just type style.css. Alright, now let's go to our design, and the first thing we'll add is this image right here. So let's create a division with the class of bgleft, and in that we'll just create an img tag, and I'll just type images slash, and I have named the image bgleft.svg. So let's open this in a browser and see whether it is being displayed. So I have this extension called Live Server installed on VS Code. So you can just go ahead and install it. Once you install it, you can just right click over here in the HTML and click on Open with Live Server. And we can see that our design is being displayed in the browser. Now whenever you save this HTML file, the browser will be refreshed. Right, now let's go back to our design, and here you can see we have all these elements inside a set width. So we can see that we have a maximum width for these elements except for this sidebar over here. So what we'll do is we'll create a container division to hold everything. So after this bgleft, let's create a division and we'll just give it a class of container. And the first thing we will have over here is the logo. So let's create a division with the class of logo, and in the logo we just have this letter W written. So let's type that over here, and here we can see our logo is being displayed over here at the bottom. Now the next thing we will do is we'll create a division to hold all these elements over here. So we will have this left part of our website in a division called left, and this right part of the website, which is the image, in a division with the class of right. So for that, let's create a division, and we'll just create a container division, and we'll just give it a class of hero container, and in that we'll have left and also a division with the class of right. Now in the left division, we will have a division with the class of hero text to hold this text and these buttons. So let's create a division with the class of hero text, and in that we need to have an h1, and we'll just type web design course. So here we can see we have the heading, and then we need to have a subheading. So let's go back to our design and let's just copy this, and here let's create a paragraph, and we'll just give it a class of subheading, and we'll just paste the text over here. Next we need to have two buttons. So for that we'll just create anchor tags. So let's type anchor tag, and for the href I'll just type hash for now. And for the first button we have this text watch demo. So I'll just type that over here, and I'll just duplicate this, and the next button is called enroll now. So we have these two buttons over here. Now let's create a division to hold these social media icons. Let's get outside this hero text division, and we'll just create a division with the class of social, and we'll just have anchor tags, and in the anchor tags we will have the images. So I'll just type img, and I have saved the images as facebook-logo.svg, and we also need to have Twitter and YouTube. So all these images are inside this images folder over here. So let's just copy this and paste it two more times, and here we'll just type Twitter, and here we'll just type YouTube. Right, so all the logos are being displayed over here. Now let's create the right side of our website. So here we have this image, and we also have this background shape over here. Now for that we'll just create a division and we'll style it using CSS. So let's go back over here, and inside the right division, let's create a division with the class of hero image, and in that we'll have an img tag, and here I'll just type images slash hero image dot png, and we'll also create a division for the shape. So we'll just create a division with the class of image bg, and here we can see the image is being displayed. The next thing we'll do is we'll create divisions for these colors that we see over here behind the image. We're going to have 3 divisions for that, and we will add some CSS to make it look like this. Now we'll just create a division with the class of bgWrite for all these divisions. So let's go outside all these divisions. So we'll just go outside the hero container. So outside this hero container, let's create a division with the class of bgWrite, and we'll just create 3 divisions with the class circle1, circle2, and circle3. Now the last thing we need to add is the sidebar. So let's go outside this container because we don't want the sidebar to be inside the container. So we'll just go outside this container division, and let's create an aside, and we'll just give it a class of sidebar, and in that we'll have a division with the class of menu icons, and in the menu icons we will have anchor tags, and in the anchor tags we will have the images. So let's type img and images slash, and the first icon is the home icon. So let's type home icon.svg, and we have 4 icons over here. So let's copy this and let's paste it 3 more times, and then we have the gift icon, and then we have the contact icon, and then the code icon. So here you can see all the icons are being displayed over here at the bottom. We cannot see the icons clearly because they are light in color. Alright, so I think that's it with the HTML of our website. Now this is our progress as of now. We can see that all the elements are displayed over here. Now we have to style everything using CSS. So let's go back to our source code, and let's go to style.css. We have already linked our CSS file in this HTML file over here. So let's go to our CSS, and the first thing we will do is we will remove all the margins that we have by default. So here we can see we have some spacing between the edge of the screen and this image right here. Now in our final design we can see that we don't have any margins on the top or on the left. So let's go back to our style.css file, and let's remove all the default margins. So here I'll just use a universal selector. So I'll just type asterisk, and here I'll just type margin 0. Now we can see that all the margins are removed. Now we'll set the position of this image to absolute so that it will not affect the positioning of the other elements. So here you can see this image is behind all the other elements. So let's go back to our style.css file, and let's target that. So here I'll just type bg left, because this is the class that we had given over here in this division. We can see bg left, and in that we have the image. So let's go back to our style.css, and let's add a positioning of absolute, and we'll set the top position to 0 and the left position to 0. Now we can see that the image doesn't affect the position of the other elements, but we also want it to be behind all the other elements. So for that we can use a property called z-index, and we'll set the z-index to a negative value. So we'll just set it to -2, and now we can see that the image is behind all the other elements. We'll also set the height of this image to 100 viewport height, which is the height of the browser window. So let's go back to style.css, and let's type height, and we'll set it to 100 viewport height. Now here on the website we can see that the height hasn't changed to 100 viewport height. That's because we also have to change the height of the image inside the division. So here you can see we have this division, and in that we have the image. So we'll set the height of the image to 100% height of the parent. So let's type bg left img, and let's set the height to 100%. And now we can see that we have 100 viewport height for this image. Now let's style the other elements. So first of all, let's set the font of all these text over here. We will use a font called Roboto. So let's go ahead and get the font from Google Fonts. You can just go to fonts.google.com and just search for the font. We already have the font over here, so let's click on the font Roboto, and let's select the styles that we need. So if you go back to our final design, we need to have a bold version and also a regular one. So let's go back to Google Fonts, and let's select the regular version 400. So let's select this style, and we also need to have a bold version. So we'll just select this one right here, black 900. So let's select this, and we can see that both the styles of the font are selected over here. Now here at the bottom we can see the link that we can use in our HTML. So let's copy this link from here, and let's go back to our HTML, and let's paste the link right here in the head section. Alright, now let's go back to our style.css and let's add the font to the body so that it will affect all the elements in our website. So let's type body, and here I'll just type font family, and we'll set it to Roboto and sans serif. And here we can see the font has changed to Roboto. Alright, now let's style the sidebar that we have over here on the right. So let's go back to our HTML, and if we scroll down, you can see that we had created an aside and we have given it a class of sidebar. So let's target this aside in our style.css. So here I'll just add a comment. So you can just press Ctrl and / to add a comment, and I'll just type sidebar, and here I'll just type aside.sidebar. And first of all, we'll set the position to fixed. So I'll just type position fixed, and we'll set a background color of 17183B. And here we can see the sidebar is being displayed. Let's bring it to the right side. So I'll just type right 0. So now it is in the right side. Now we want to have 100% height for this sidebar. So for that you have to set the top position to 0 and the bottom position to 0. So it will give it a height of 100% of the parent. Now the next thing we need to do is set all these icons one below the other. So here you can see all the icons are one below the other, and they are also in the center vertically. So for that, first of all, let's go ahead and add a display of flex and align items to the center. So now we can see that everything is in the center, and we'll also give it a padding of 16 pixels. And now let's position all of these icons one below the other. So if you go back to the HTML, we can see that we have created a division called menu icons inside the sidebar. So let's target this menu icons division. So here we'll just type aside.sidebar menu icons, and we'll set the display to flex and the flex direction to column. And now all the icons are one below the other. Let's also add some margin between these icons. So if you go back to the HTML, we can see that we have anchor tags inside the menu icons. So let's add some margin to the anchor tags. So here I'll just type aside.sidebar menu icons A, and we'll set a margin of 16 pixels top and bottom, and 0 for left and right. And now everything looks alright. We'll also add a hover effect when you hover over these elements. So if you go back to our design, we can see when we hover over these icons, the scale of these icons is changing. So let's go back to our CSS and let's type aside.sidebar menu icons A : hover. So when we hover over these anchor tags, we want to change the scale of these images right here. So let's type A : hover img, and here we will type transform scale, and we'll set the scale to 1.2. Now let's go back and let's hover over these icons, and here we can see the scale is changing. Let's also add a smooth transition. So let's go back to our CSS and let's add a transition to the image. So I'll just type aside sidebar menu icons A img, and I'll just type transition, and we'll set it to all 500 milliseconds. And now we can see that we have a smooth animation. So that's it with the sidebar. Now let's style the other elements in our website. Now if you go back to our design, we can see that we have this container division over here, and it contains all these elements over here, and it has a set width. So if we go back to our HTML, we can see that we have created a division with the class of container, and in that we have all these elements except the sidebar and the bg left. So let's add a width to this container. So let's go back over here and let's type container, and we'll set the width to 80% of the screen, and we'll also have a maximum width of 1000 pixels. Let's add a background color and see whether the width is being applied. So here we can see we have a maximum of 1000 pixels of width for this container. Let's also bring it to the center. So I'll just type margin 0 for top and bottom and auto for left and right. Now it is in the center. Right now let's style the logo. So let's remove this background color from here, and let's type container logo, and we'll set a font size of 40 pixels, and we'll also set the font weight to bold. We'll set it to 900, and let's set the position to absolute, and we'll set the top position to 30 pixels, and let's also set a different color So let's type color and we'll set it to 17183B. Now let's style the text and this image right here. So we have to set both of them side by side. So for that we will set a display of flex. So let's go back over here, and if you go to the HTML, here you can see inside the container we have a division with a class of hero container, and in that we have a division with the class of left and a division with the class of right. Now both these divisions should be one next to the other. So for that we can use display of flex to the container division, which is the hero container division. So let's type container hero container, and we will set a display of flex, and we'll also set the height to 100 viewport height. And now we can see that both the elements are one next to the other. We'll also bring it to the center vertically. So for that we'll just type align items to the center. Now we want the text and the image to be on the extreme left and on the extreme right. So for that we can use a property called justify content and set it to space between. Now they are positioned correctly. Now let's style this h1. So let's type container hero container h1, and we'll set the font size to 60 pixels. And let's set the color of the text to the same color that we had given to the logo. Alright, now let's add a margin bottom to this heading so that we have some spacing between this paragraph and this heading. So let's set a margin bottom of 8 pixels. Right, now let's style this paragraph. So let's type container hero container p, and we also have a class for the paragraph subheading. So let's type that over here. And let's set the font size to 16 pixels and the color of the text to the same dark color. Alright, now let's style these buttons. So let's add a comment buttons, and let's go back to our HTML, and I think we need to add a class for this anchor tag. So here we can see we have these anchor tags as the buttons. So let's add a class and we'll set it to btn, and we have two different styles of buttons over here. So we have a light styled button and also a dark styled button. So let's also add a class called light over here. And for the next button we have a class btn and dark. Right, now let's style these buttons. So here I'll just type container a.btn. Now these styles will be the common styles for both these buttons, and then we'll target these light and dark classes separately. So here let's type text decoration to none to get rid of the underlines, and let's set a padding of 12 pixels top and bottom, 24 pixels left and right. And let's add a background to see whether it works. So we can see that the padding is being applied, but it doesn't have the correct margin. So for that we have to set the button to inline block. So let's type display of inline block, and we'll also add some margin top. So let's set the margin top to 32 pixels, and we'll also add a margin right, and we'll set the margin right to 20 pixels. Now we can see we have some spacing between these buttons. And let's set the border radius to 8 pixels. So now we have rounded corners, and let's set the font weight to 900. Now let's remove this background color. Now let's style the light and the dark buttons. So let's type container a.btn.light. Now let's set the background color of EAE8FF, and let's set the color of the text to the dark color. Right, now let's style the dark button. So let's type container a.btn.dark, and let's set the background color to the dark color and the color of the text to the light color. So we have styled both the buttons. Now let's also add a hover effect. So here for the anchor tag, let's type container a.btn:hover, and when you hover these buttons we need to move it up a little bit. So let's set transform and translate y, and we'll set it to -3 pixels, and we'll also add a transition to this anchor tag so that it will have smooth animation. So let's type transition, and we'll set it to all 500 milliseconds. Now if you hover over these buttons we can see that we have the hover effect. Now let's style these social media icons. So if you go back to the HTML we can see that we have a class called social, and in that we have the anchor tags. So let's target that. So I'll just type container social, and we'll set the position to absolute, and we'll set it to the bottom of the screen. So let's type bottom, and we'll set it to 50 pixels from the bottom. We'll also add a border bottom. So let's type border bottom, and we'll set it to 4 pixels solid and the dark color, and let's set a padding bottom of 20 pixels. Right now let's style these anchor tags. So let's type container social A. First of all, we'll remove the underline, so let's type text decoration and we'll set it to none. And we'll add some margin between these anchor tags, so let's type margin of 0 for top and bottom, and for left and right we will have 16 pixels of margin. And let's also add a hover effect for this, so let's type container social A colon hover, and we'll just change the scale, so let's type transform scale and we'll set it to 1.1. And right now the scale is not working because the anchor tag is basically display of inline, so we have to change it to display of inline block. Now when we hover over this, we can see that the scale is being applied. Let's also add a transition for smooth animation. Alright, now when we hover over this, we can see that we have the hover effect. So that's it with the left part of our design. So let's add some styling for the hero image. So if we go back to the HTML, we can see that we have this division with the class of hero image. So we're going to target this, and it is inside this container division right here. So let's target that in the CSS. So here I'll just type container hero image, and we need to rotate it a little bit. So let's type transform and we'll type rotate Z, and we'll just rotate it -3 degrees. Right now if you go back to our design, we can see that it is rotated. Now we have already created a division with the class of image BG. So if we scroll down, here we can see we have this division with the class of image BG. Now we're going to use this as this background shape over here behind this image. So let's go ahead and target that. It is inside the hero image division. So let's go back to our CSS and let's type container hero image, and it is called image BG. Let's set a height of 424 pixels and a width of 350 pixels, and let's add a background color of FF8F7C, and here we can see that the shape is being displayed over here. Now we want to display it behind this image, so for that we need to set the position of this image BG to absolute. So let's type position absolute, and let's set the top position to 0. Now we need to set it behind the image, so let's type Z index and we'll set it to -1. Now the shape is behind the image. I will also rotate it a little bit, so let's type transform rotate Z, and we'll rotate it -5 degrees. And now we can see that we have the background shape just as we needed. Now the next thing we will do is add these colors over here at the back of the image. So if you go back to our HTML, we can see that we have created this division with the class of BG right, and in that we have these 3 divisions which are for the 3 different shapes that we have for these colors. So first of all, let's position this parent division right here, BG right. So let's go back to our CSS, and here we will just type BG right, and we'll set the position to absolute, and we'll set the top position to 0 and the right position to 0, so it'll be at the top right. And we'll also set the Z index to -1, so that it is behind all the other elements. Now if we go back to our design, we cannot see it right now because we don't have a height and a width for this division, and we also don't have a background color. Now we're going to add a height and a width and background color to all the divisions inside the BG right. So inside BG right we have circle 1, circle 2 and circle 3. So let's target all of those. So we'll just type BG right circle 1, and we'll just add a comma, and we'll just type BG right circle 2 and BG right circle 3, and let's set the width to 300 pixels and height to 300 pixels. And we want to have a circle, so for that we'll type border radius, and we'll set it to 50%, so it will have a circle. Let's add a background color for testing, and here we can see we have these 3 circles over here. Now we have to position each of these circles differently, and we also have different colors for each of these circles. So here we'll just type position absolute, and we'll add some top and right positions to these different circles separately. So first of all, let's target the first circle, so I'll just type BG right circle 1, and you can go ahead and experiment with different values over here. This is what I found for this design right here. So let's type top, and we'll set the top position to 50 pixels, and we'll set the right position to 200 pixels. And here we can see we have this circle over here. Now let's remove this background color from here, and let's add a different background color over here. So for the first circle, we will add a background color of, let's say, green yellow, this color right here. And now we need to add some blur. So let's type filter, and let's type blur, and we'll set the blur to 100 pixels. And now we can see we have this background color over here, and we'll also set the blend mode to multiply, so that when we have the other colors, it will have the multiply blend mode. So let's type mix blend mode. If you already used Photoshop or any other image editing software, you may know what this means. Alright, so we have added the color and the positioning of the first circle. Now let's copy this and paste it down here. This is for the second circle, and let's set the right position of the second circle to 400, and let's set a color of 6AFFFF, and let's go back to our design, and here we can see we have this color over here. Now let's style the last circle, so I'll just copy and paste it down here, and I'll just rename this to circle 3. And for this one, we will just set the top position to 200 pixels, and we'll set the right position to 250 pixels. You can go ahead and experiment with these values. And for the color, I'll just set it to yellow, and here we can see we also have the yellow color. So now it looks exactly like the design that we wanted. Alright, that's it with the desktop version of our website. Now this is how the mobile version is supposed to look. So here we can see we have a different layout, and the things we need to have extra in the mobile version are this logo over here and this menu button. So we're going to hide this logo over here in the desktop version, and we're going to create a division with this logo over here and also this menu button. And when we click on this menu button, we have this menu icons displayed over here, and we also have this close button. So we also need to add a close icon over here before these menu items. So let's make the changes in our HTML. So here we have this aside, and in that we have this menu icons division, and in that we have all these anchor tags. So we also need to have a close button. So here in this menu icons division, I'll just create a new division, and I'll just give it a class of close button, and in that we will have the close image. So I'll just type img, and in the src I'll just type images / and I have named it close icon.svg. And now we can see we have this close icon over here. Now let's also add the logo and this menu button over here in the mobile version. So for that, I'll just create a new division. So here let's go outside this aside, and we'll just create a division with a class of mobile menu, and in that we need to have the logo. So I'll just create a division with a class of logo, and I'll just type w dot, and we also need to have the menu button. So for that, I'll just create an img tag, and in the src I'll just type images / menu icon.svg. So these are all the images that I have stored in this images folder over here. You can find the link of these images in the description of this video. Right now let's go back to our website, and here we can see we have the logo and the close icon. Now we don't want to display this in our desktop version, so we have to hide the mobile menu and also this close icon in the desktop version. So let's go back to our style.css file, and let's target the mobile menu. So I'll just type mobile menu, and I'll just type display of none, and we'll also target the close button. So the close button is inside this menu icons division, and in that we have the close button division. So let's target that. So here I'll just type aside.sidebar menu icons close button, and now we can see that the close button and the mobile menu are not displayed over here in the desktop version. Alright, now let's add a media query where if the width of the screen is lesser than 700 pixels, then whatever styles we have for the mobile version should be added. So I'll just type @media, and we'll set the max width to 700 pixels. And first of all, we will hide this logo and this background image over here on the left. So let's target them. We have a class called bgleft for the left background image, and for the logo we have a class called logo. It is inside the container division, so I'll just type container logo, and we'll set the display to none. Right now let's style the mobile menu. So I'll just type mobile menu over here, and we will set the display to flex, and we'll set the position to fixed, and we will set it to the top. So I'll just type top 0, and now here you can see we have this logo at the top. We'll just add a background color and see what is the width of the mobile menu. So right now the mobile menu doesn't have 100% of width. Now for 100% width we have to type left 0 and right 0. And now we can see the mobile menu has 100% of width. Right now let's remove this background color. Now let's add a background color of linear gradient. So I'll just type background and I'll set it to linear gradient. And first of all we will have 180 degrees. So the colors will start from the top to the bottom. Alright, now for the first color I'll just type RGB and I'll just type 14, 12 and 46 and we'll set it at 0%. And then the next color I have is RGB 25, 25, 90 and I'll have this color till 45%. And then the last color I have is RGBA. We also need to have opacity over here. So I'll just type 0, 0, 0 and the opacity will be 0. Now you can go ahead and experiment with different colors over here and different percentage values. But this is the color that I have for my design. And let's also add a padding of 16 pixels. And we'll also add a Z index of 100 so that the mobile menu will be above all the other elements. Right now let's style the logo. So let's type mobile menu logo and we'll set the font size to 30 pixels. And we'll set the color of the text to white and we'll set the font weight to 900. Right now we want this logo and this menu icon to be on the extreme left and on the extreme right. Now since we have added the display of flex over here in the mobile menu, we can just add a property called justify content space between. And now we can see we have this logo over here on the left and the menu icon is on the right. Right now you have to scroll horizontally for accessing both these elements. But once we start designing the other elements, everything will be alright. So first of all, let's set the width of the container. So if we scroll up, we can see that we have set a width for this container over here. And we have set it to 80%. Now let's set the width of the container to 100% in the mobile version. So here I'll just type container and we'll set the width to 100%. And we'll also add a padding of 0 for top and bottom. And for left and right we will have a padding of 30 pixels. Alright, now the next thing we need to do is we need to have this heading and this image over here one below the other. So we'll set the flex direction of this hero container to column. So in our HTML we can see we have created this division with the class of hero container. And in that we have the left and the right divisions. So we will set the flex direction to column so that everything will be one below the other. So let's type container hero container and we'll set the flex direction to column. We'll also set the text align to center. Now we want to change the order of the elements being displayed over here. So we want to set the image at the top and all this text below the image. So for that we can use a property called order in flex. So let's type container right and we'll set the order to -1 and now we can see that the image is at the top. Alright, now let's set the width of the right division to 100%. So I'll just type width 100% and we also need to set the width of the hero image division. So in our HTML we can see in the right division we have the hero image and in that we have the image. So let's type container hero image and we will set the width to 100%. And I think we also need to add a property called box sizing to border box so that all the width and the height are set properly. So you just have to add this line of code over here. So I'll just go over here to the container and here I'll just type box sizing and we'll set it to border box. So whenever you have any issues with the width and height of the elements in HTML, you can add this line of code box sizing border box. And now it will calculate the width and the height including the padding and the margin and all of those things. Right now let's go back to this hero image over here and let's remove the rotation. So I'll just type transform and rotate Z and we'll set it to 0 degrees. Now we'll also set the height and the width of the img tag inside the hero image division. So let's type container hero image img and we'll set the width and the height to 100% of the parent. Alright, now let's set a position of absolute to this hero image and we will set it to the extreme left. So let's type position absolute and we'll set the left position to 0 and the top position to 0. Now we'll just remove this sidebar from here for now. So I'll just type aside sidebar, and I'll just set it to display none. We'll style it later. Now the next thing we will do is we will have the same height for this part and this part. So both the left and the right parts should have the same height. For that we can use a property called flex. So here for the right division, I'll just type flex of 1. We will do the same for the left division as well. So I'll just type container left, and I'll just type flex of 1. Now both the left and the right divisions have the same height. Now let's also set a height for this hero image. So I'll just type height, and we'll just set it to 40 viewport height. And now we can see that the image is stretched. So for that we can use a property called object fit to cover. So here in the img tag, I'll just type object fit, and we'll set it to cover. And now we need to display the top portion of our image. So for that we can just type object position, and we'll set it to top, and everything looks alright for the image. Alright, now let's style this background shape over here. So if you go back to the HTML, we can see we have this division with the class of image bg. So let's target that. Here I'll just type container hero image bg, and first of all let's set the transform rotate to 0. So I'll just type rotate z, and we'll set it to 0 degrees. And if you go to our design, we can see that we have this background shape over here, and it has a higher height than the actual image, and it also has lesser width. So let's add some height and width to this image bg. So we'll set the width to 90%. Now for the height, we will set a height of 10 pixels more than this image right here. Now for this image, we have set a height of 40 viewport height. So here we will use a calc function. So I'll just type height calc, and 40 viewport height plus 10 pixels. And now we can see that we have a height of 10 more pixels than this image. And we also need to center it. So I'll just type left and 50%. And now it starts from the 50% mark. So we also have to move it 50% of the element to the left. So here in the transform, I'll just type translate x, and I will set it to negative 50%. Now it is in the center. Alright, now let's style the h1. So I'll just type container hero container h1, and we'll set the font size to 32 pixels, and we will set a margin top of 30 pixels. Now let's style the social media icons. So here I'll just type container social, and we'll set the position back to static. Now we had set the position to absolute in the desktop version, but here we will set it back to static because we don't need to position it relative to any other element in the mobile version. So here I'll just give a margin top, and I'll just set it to 70 pixels, and that looks alright. And I think that's it with the mobile version. Now let's style the aside or the sidebar. So let's remove the display none from here, and let's add some styling over here. So we'll just set the width to 60 pixels, and we'll justify content to the center, and we'll also add a box shadow. So I'll just type box shadow, and we'll set the values to negative 24 pixels, 0, 16 pixels, negative 12 pixels, RGBA, 0, 0, 0 and 0.4. And let's also set the z index to some higher value so that it is above all the other elements. So I'll just type z index, and we'll just set it to 200. And let's also style the close button. So here in the HTML, we have added the close button in the sidebar. So here we can see we have this division with the class of close btn. So let's target that. So here I'll just type aside dot sidebar menu icons close btn, and we had set the display to none in our desktop version over here. So here we can see for the close button we had set the display to none. So let's go back over here, and we will set the display back to block in the mobile version. And now we can see the close button is right here. Now let's position it absolute, and let's set the top position to 8 pixels, and we'll text align it to the center. And we also need to have the left position to 0 and the right position to 0 for it to work. So now we can see that it is in the center, and I think we need to increase the top position over here. So let's set it to 24 pixels, and now it looks alright. Right, now the last thing we need to do is we need to add the functionality of this sidebar. So when you click on the menu button, this sidebar should appear from the right. So if you go back to a design, we can see when we click on this menu button, the sidebar is being displayed over here, and when we click on this close button, it goes back. So we have to add this functionality. So let's go back over here, and we will add a class called active to this sidebar, and when we have the class active, we will display the sidebar. So here for this sidebar, I'll just type right, and I'll just set the right position to -100%, and I will also add a transition of all to 500 milliseconds so that we have smooth animation. Now let's type aside.sidebar.active. Now these styles will be added when we add the active class to the sidebar. So here I'll just type right 0. So when we have the class active, the right position of the sidebar will be 0. So it will be displayed. So let's go back to our HTML and let's add the active class over here to the sidebar. So I'll just type active over here. And now we can see that the sidebar is being displayed. And when we remove the active class, the sidebar is hidden. Right now we will add and remove this class using JavaScript. So let's go back to our file browser and let's create a new file. So I'll just click on new file and we'll just name it main.js. Now in my JavaScript file, I need to reference 3 elements. The first one is the sidebar itself because we need to add the active class. The next one is the close button, and the next one is the mobile menu. So this menu icon over here. So here for this img tag, I'll also add a class and we'll just name it menu btn. Right now let's reference these elements in our JavaScript. So let's go back over here to main.js. Before that, let's add the JavaScript link over here. So here before the body ends, I'll just type script src, and here I'll just type main.js. Right now let's go back to our main.js file and we'll create some constants. So I'll just type const sidebar and we'll just type document.querySelector, and here I'll just type aside.sidebar. So this is how you reference elements in JavaScript. Now let's reference the menu button. So I'll just type const menu btn equals document.querySelector, and here I'll just type menu btn. And the last thing we need to reference is the close button. So I'll just type const close btn equals document.querySelector close btn. Now we need to add event listeners to the menu button and the close button. So I'll just type menu btn.add event listener, and we will listen for the click event. So I'll just type click, and here we'll just create an arrow function. Now when we click on this menu button, we need to add the active class to the sidebar. So I'll just type sidebar.classList.add, and here I'll just type active. Now let me just copy this and paste it down for the close button, and here instead of menu button I'll just type close btn, and here instead of add I'll just type remove. Right now let's see whether our menu button works. So let's click on this menu button and we can see that the sidebar is being displayed. Let's click on this close button and it is hidden. So everything works alright. Alright, this is my Blogger website where we're going to add the design. And whenever someone visits this page right here, we're going to redirect them to a different page as the home page. And then we're going to add this design to the home page. So let's go back to the dashboard of our Blogger website. And let me show you the theme that I'm using. So if you go to theme, this is the theme that I'm using. So if you scroll down, the name of the theme is Emporio and it comes by default with Blogger. Previously in one of my videos, I showed you how to add a design to this Contempo theme over here. But in this video, we're going to add the design to this Emporio theme. Now some of the CSS that I'm going to write can be different for different themes. So you have to make changes depending on the theme that you're using. But I'll show you the process of customizing the homepage of this theme right here. And you can use the same knowledge to customize the homepage of any theme you want. So first of all, let's create a page as the homepage. So let's go to pages and let's click on new page. And here for the title, I'll just type home. And here I'll just create an h1 and I'll just type testing over here. And I am in the HTML view. So if you go over here to this button, you can see that I am in the HTML view. So if you're in the compose view, you can just go over here to the HTML view. This is where you can write the HTML. So let's go over here to publish and confirm. Right, our home page is created. So let's click on view. And this is how it looks right now. And this is our homepage URL. Now we're going to change this design and make it like this. So whenever someone goes to this page, they will see this design right here. Right now the first thing we will do is we will redirect the home page to this page right here. So let's copy the URL of this page from here. And let's go back to the dashboard and let's go over here to settings, and let's scroll down, and here we have this section called errors and redirects. So let's click on custom redirects, and let's click on add, and here we'll just type / and here we'll paste the URL, and we don't need to have the complete URL, we can just remove this from here, and let's click on permanent and OK, and let's save it. Let's go back to the custom redirects, and we have 2 / over here. Let's remove one from each of these fields, and let's click on OK, and let's click on save. Now if we go back to our website, and if we remove this URL from here, and if I press enter, we can see that we are redirected to this page right here. So whenever someone goes to this page, they are taken to this page right here. So here we will add our design. Alright, now let me show you how to customize this page. Now what you can do is right click on any of these elements and click on inspect, and the inspector will be opened for you. Now you can go ahead and experiment with the CSS over here, and if it seems to be working, you can go ahead and add it to your theme. So here we can see we have this header, and let's go over here to element style, and let's type display none, and now we can see that the header is not being displayed over here. Now this is line of CSS that you can add to this page. So let's go back to our dashboard, and let's go to theme, and let's click on this arrow and click on edit HTML, and let's scroll down and go to the CSS. Let's go to the end of the CSS. Now this is where the CSS ends, so I'll just make some space over here, and I'll just add a comment, and I'll just type custom homepage, and here we'll just type header, and here I'll just type display of none, and let me just save it, and let's go back to our home page and let's see whether it works. So let's refresh this page, and now we can see that the header is not being displayed. So our CSS is working alright. Now I'm not going to save this template file every time we add a line of CSS, because that will take a lot of time. So I'm just going to add all the CSS over here, and we will save it all at once. So I'll just go over here, and let's go back to our home page, and let's see what else we can remove from here. So if we scroll down, we can see that we have this footer over here. So let's right click over here and click on inspect, and here we can see we have this footer. So we can remove this footer from here as well. So I'll just type display none, and we can see that the footer is not being displayed. So let's go back to our template file, and here I'll just type comma, and here I'll just type footer. Alright, now let's go back to our home page, and now we can remove this sidebar. So let's right click over here and click on inspect, and we have this aside over here, and here on the right we can see that this is the selector item view sidebar container. Let's add display of none over here, and let's see whether it works, and we can see that it is not being displayed over here. So let's copy this selector from here, and let's go back over here and paste it right here. So just type comma, and now this should hide our sidebar as well. Alright, let's see what else we can do. So let's right click over here and click on inspect, and I think we have comments over here. So if you scroll up, we can see that we have this section with the class of comments, and here we can see the selector. Let's add display of none, and it is hidden. So let's copy this selector comments from here. Let's add it to our template file. Alright, let's go back and let's remove this title. So let's right click over here and inspect, and it is called post title container. So let's copy this class from here, and here also we'll just type display of none, and let's go over here and let's add the class, and we also need to add a dot over here. Alright, let's go back and let's remove this share button from here. So let's right click and inspect. So here we have this division with the class of post share buttons, and here we have this selector. So let's copy this, and let's also type display of none over here, and we'll just copy it and paste it over here. Now we can see that we have a maximum width over here for this container. So let's right click over here and inspect, and somewhere we have a maximum width setup. So let's start from here. This is the header, so let's start from here, centered bottom, and for this we have a maximum width of 1185. So we can just set it to 100%. So let's copy this selector and paste it over here, and here we'll just type max width and 100%, and we still have some maximum width set for some other element. So let's go to this main container, and if we scroll down we can see that even for the main container we have a maximum width. So let's change it to 100%. Now we can see that we have maximum width of 100% for this element. Let's copy this selector from here, and let's go back over here, and let's paste it right here. We'll just add a comma and paste it right here. Right now let's save this before going ahead, and let's see whether everything is working alright. So let's save it, and let's go back to our home page and refresh this page, and we can see that everything is working alright. So let's continue with the customization. So let's right click over here and inspect, and now we have some padding and some margin for some of these elements, and let's remove all of them. So let's start with this division right here, post body, and let's see whether we have any padding. So we can't find any padding over here. So let's move on to the parent division. So let's go over here to post, and even for the post we don't find any padding. So let's go up and let's click on slide, and even for the slide we don't have any padding. And let's go to the post wrapper, and for the post wrapper we have some padding. So here we can see if we hover over this we have some padding over here. So let's remove the padding. So this is the selector of the post wrapper. So let's copy this, and here for the padding I just type 0. So let's go back over here, and let's go to the CSS, and let's add the selector over here, and here I'll just type padding 0. Alright, let's continue with the customization. We had looked at post wrapper, so let's go up and let's see post outer, and here we can see for the post outer we have a padding of 8 pixels. So let's change it to 0, and let's copy this selector from here, and let's paste it over here. Alright, now let's move up and let's check post outer container, and we don't seem to have any padding over here as well. Let's go up to blog posts, and we don't have any padding. Let's go to the widget, and we don't have any padding over here as well. And let's go to the main section with ID page body, and we have some padding over here. So let's check the selector. So the selector is centered main. So let's copy this, and let's paste it over here. Right, let's move up. Let's move up to the centered bottom, and we don't have any padding. Let's move up to the header, and we had already hidden the header. So let's move up to centered, and we don't have any padding. Right, now let's move to the page body, and here also we have a padding. So let's check out the selector. So this is the selector, item view page body. So let's copy this, and here for the padding we'll just type 0, and let's go over here and paste the selector right here. And the last thing we need to check is the page. So let's go over here, and even for page we have some padding over here at the bottom. So let's set the padding back to 0, and let's copy this selector from here and paste it over here. Now we also have to unset some line height or font family that we have on any of the elements. So let's go back over here and let's inspect. Now here for the post body we have this font and this line height. So we have to unset the font and also the line height. So let's copy this selector from here, post body, and let's add it over here. And we'll set the font family to unset and line height to unset. Right, now let's save it. Now let's go back to our home page and let's refresh this page. Now everything looks alright, but we may have some other elements that we need to customize. But first of all, let's add the code of this design, the HTML, the CSS and the JavaScript. And let's go back to our template page, and first of all we will add the font. So if we go back to the source code, and here in the HTML we can see that these are the links for the font. So let me just copy this, and I'll just paste it over here in the head section. So this is the head section. So here I'll just paste the link of the font. Now I will leave the link of the source code in the description of this video. Now here we need to make some changes. For the cross origin, we have to type cross origin equals, and we have to type true. And wherever we have this ampersand symbol, we have to type ampersand amp semicolon, because it is an XML file and it will throw some error if we have the ampersand symbol. So just replace the ampersand symbol with ampersand amp semicolon, and let's save it. Alright, let's go back and go to the page. So we'll go to pages and click on home. Right now here we will add the HTML. So let's go back to our source code and let's copy everything inside the body. So we'll start from here till here, and let's paste it over here. Right now let's copy the JavaScript. So here I'll just create a script tag, and let's go back to our source code and let's go to main.js file, and let's copy all this JavaScript from here and let's paste it over here. Right now let's add the CSS. So I'll just create a style tag over here at the top. So here I'll just type style and close it over here, and let's copy the CSS and let's paste it over here. Now there's a problem with our design where we have given a class of container to one of our elements, and if you go to our theme and if you right click over here and go to inspect, we already have a division with the class of container. So if you go over here to this division, we can see that it also has a class of container. So this might cause some issue in our design. So let's go over here to our HTML and we'll just change container to my container, and let's copy this from here, and we'll also replace container with my container in the CSS. So let's check for container. So here we have container. Let's replace this with my container, and I'll just do this with all the other container instances. We also need to add a dot over here. Right, I have replaced all the containers with my container. Right now let's save this and see whether it is being displayed. So let's click on update, and let's go over here and refresh this page. So we can see that some of the elements are displayed over here. Now we also need to add the images. Now if you go over here to our post, and if you go over here to insert image and click on upload from computer and choose files, and if I select an SVG image and click on open, we can see that the upload has failed because it is an SVG image. So we cannot upload SVG in our Blogger website. So we have to convert all the SVG to PNG. So I converted all the images in our website to PNGs. So let's insert those images in our website, because here we can see we have these links images/bgleft.svg, but in a Blogger website you don't have this folder called images, so this won't work. So we have to upload the images over here and get the link and paste it over here, or else you can go ahead and upload your SVG file to some other hosting server and get the link and paste it over here. But I'm just going to upload all the PNGs over here in my Blogger post itself. So I'll just click on insert image and upload from computer and choose files, and I have all the PNGs inside this folder right here, images PNG. So let's select all of these images. These are all PNG images, so let's go ahead and click on open. Now I have converted all these images from SVG to PNG using a tool called Figma. You can just drag and drop all the SVGs into the tool and just go ahead and export it using PNG. So I'll just click on select, and let's click on original size and OK. So here are all the images, and here are the links of the images. So this is the link of the first image, BG left. Let me just arrange all of these images. So we will have some space between these images. Right, I have arranged all these divisions. Now let's copy the links and paste it in our img tags. So let's copy the link of BG left from here, and let's scroll down, and here we have the BG left image. So I'll just cut this and paste the link over here, and we'll just do the same with all the other images. So let's select the second image, which is close icon. So let's copy this and let's scroll down, and here we have the close icon. So let's delete this and paste it over here. Now I'll just do this with all the other images. Alright, we have pasted the links of all the images. Alright, now let's remove all these divisions from here. So I'll just delete all of this. Alright, now let's update it and see whether it works. Let's go back to our home page and let's refresh this page. And here we have a problem. We have this image right here. So let's right click and click on inspect. And we have this BG photo container. So let's type display of none. So we have to remove the BG photo container. And now we can see that everything has moved up. So we have to see whether we have any margin applied to any of the elements. So let's right click over here and click on inspect. And let's see whether we have any margin. So here for the post wrapper, we have a margin top of -368. So we have to remove the margin. So let's set it to 0. And now we can see that everything looks alright. So we have to set the margin of this element to 0. And we also have to hide the BG photo container. So first of all, let's copy this. And let's go back to our template code. So here I'll just paste the selector. And let's type margin 0. And we also have to hide the BG photo container. So it is this division right here. So let's copy this selector from here. And let's paste it over here. And we also have some problems where the background image is not being displayed. Here we can see we have this background image, and we also have these colors over here. So let's right click and see what's the problem. And here for BG right, let's change the Z index to 0. And now we can see that the colors are being displayed. And we also have to change the Z index of the right and the left elements to 1. So here let's select this. And let's set the Z index to 1. And now we can see that it is above the colors. And we also have to change the Z index of this left element to 1. So let's select this, and here we'll just type Z index 1. And now let's select the BG left, and let's change the Z index to 0. And we also have more than 100 viewport height for these elements. So let's see what's the problem. And let's fold all of these elements. And here we can see we have a division with the class of vertical add container. Now we'll hide this element as well. So let's type display of none. Now we can see that we have 100 viewport height. So let's copy this selector. And let's paste it over here. And let's save it. And we also need to change the Z index. So let's go back and let's go to the page. And here for BG left, we have to change the Z index to 0. And let's scroll down and let's find the left division. And even for BG right, let's set the Z index to 0. So let's add the selector over here. So I'll just type my container, hero container left, and my container, hero container right. So these are the classes that we had given for these elements. So here we can see inside hero container we have division right and division left. So let's set the Z index to 1 and let's update it. And let's refresh this page. And now we can see that everything looks alright. We don't have any problems, and even the hover effects and everything are working alright. So that's how you customize the home page of your Blogger website to any design you want. Now there's a problem with this design, that when we go to any other page in our Blogger website, all the CSS that we had added to our theme will be added to those pages as well. So let's go to a different page. So let's open a post right here. And now we can see that this page doesn't look right because the CSS of this page has been added to this page as well. So we have to differentiate this CSS from all the other CSS. For that, we're going to use body classes. So let's right click over here and inspect. And if you scroll up, we can see that for the body we have these classes, item view and the version number. Now for this particular page, we're going to add a custom class to this body. For example, custom homepage or something. And that class will be added to the body only if we are on this page right here. So in this way we can differentiate between this page and the other pages. So let me show you how to add a body class. So let's go back and let's go to theme, and let's click on this button and go to edit HTML, and let's find the body tag. So I'll just press Ctrl F and I'll just type body, and this is where the body starts. And these are some examples of body classes. So here we are saying that if the condition is preview, then we're going to add this class called preview to the parent, which is the body. And we have a lot of body classes over here. Here we can see for single item we have a class called item view for this body. So let's add our own body class. So I'll just type less than b class and let's type cond. Now in the condition we have to check whether the current page is this page right here. So let's copy this URL from here, and here we will type data:blog.url equals, and we'll just add double quotes, and I'll just paste the URL over here. And after that we'll type name equals, and we'll name our class custom homepage, and let's close this over here. Now whenever we are on this URL right here, we will have this class called custom homepage to the body. So let's save this and let's check it out. So let's refresh this page, and let's right click and let's click on inspect. And here we can see for the body we have this class called custom homepage. And if you go to any other page, for example if you go to this page and if you refresh this page, and if you right click over here and click on inspect, we can see for the body we don't have the custom homepage class. We have the custom homepage class only for this page right here. So let's take advantage of this body class and we will add it to our CSS, so that our CSS will only be added to this page right here. So let's go back to our template code and let's go to the CSS, and here in front of each of these selectors we will type .custom homepage. So the body has a class of custom homepage, and then we are selecting the header. We will do the same with all the other selectors. So I'll just type custom homepage. Now we have to keep one thing in mind with this selector right here, because this item view class is also a body class. So if you go over here and if you right click and click on inspect, here we can see for the body we have this class called item view. So in that case you have to just copy this and paste it over here, and make sure that you don't have any space between custom homepage and item view, because both these classes are for the body. So you have to keep that in mind for this item view class. So let's continue adding the custom homepage and paste it over here. And here we have item view, so let's paste it, and we don't need to have any space, and let's paste it over here and space, and here we don't have any space. Let's do the same thing over here and here, and we'll just paste it in all the selectors. Alright, now let's click on save, and let's refresh this page and let's see whether we have any problems. And we can see that everything looks alright. Let's go to this page and let's refresh this page, and here we don't have any problems because the CSS is not affecting this page and everything looks alright. And if you go to the home page, we have our custom design. Right now the last thing I'm going to do is I will add the link of the index page. I'll just add it over here in the home icon just to show it to you. So I'll just go back and let's go to pages and click on this page right here, and let's scroll down, and here for the home icon I'll just copy this and paste it over here in the href, and we'll just replace phome html with index.html, and let's save it, and let's go back to our home page. And now if we click on this home icon, we are taken to the list of all the blog posts, and we can go over here to any of these posts. And if you go to the home page, we have our custom design. So that's basically how you add a custom design to your Blogger homepage. And I will also leave the link of the source code in the description of this video. So that's it for this video. If you have any doubts, you can ask in the comments below. And if you like this video, please click on the like button and subscribe to this channel to get the latest video updates. Thanks a lot for watching. Have a nice day.